Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now. Welcome back, everyone, to the Key to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Jen McKee. And today, as always, I have the most amazing guests. Today, I'm so excited because I have Rachel Pedersen, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. But I'm going to start by saying that Rachel has been a mentor of mine for years, even before she was a mentor that I was paying. She was a mentor of mine that I watched on TikTok. I had added it to my list of things I wanted in the next 5 years was to meet Rachel. And I actually got to meet her the next year. So I feel like I manifested that. But Rachel's an incredible marketer. Like everything, if you've ever been like, boy, Jen is really good at marketing herself, I've learned it all from Rachel, which is why I have her here today to teach everything that she knows in 30 minutes. But Rachel, if someone doesn't know who you are, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Well, I'm Rachel Pedersen. Some people call me the queen of social media. I don't know how I got that title, but it just kind of stuck, so we go with it. Basically, a Minnesota-based mom of 3, an amazing husband, and over the last 10 years, I've built a company that's done pretty well. A couple of different companies. We've crossed 8 figures in revenue, over 3 million followers across social, which blows my mind. But here's the cool part, not that any of that was not cool. We've done most of it through organic social media. So I'm a big fan of social media, organic marketing strategies, and how it can really and truly move the needle for businesses.
Yeah. And you teach going so deep in here, and I like to start at the beginning, but it isn't just organic social, which is the whole thing. You teach the marketing ecosystem, which is from the very top of funnel all the way down to turning followers into customers, basically. But I mean, I guess it's organic. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to pay once people are in your ecosystem. So I do focus more on the front end of my marketing ecosystem on social media and content creation and things like that. But secretly, I actually touch on a lot in all of business and marketing.
Awesome. Okay. So I found Rachel on TikTok, probably in 2020, 2021. So you were somebody who around the time that TikTok was blowing for millennials and people in their 30s and 40s, you were somebody who was teaching a lot about it. So what was that journey like? How did you go from 0 to 3 million followers? And honestly, I'll just also say that I love learning from Rachel, and she totally takes you behind the scenes when she does these things. So I've been on journeys with her of growing followers, but I've also been no, tell me what you did. So I know it's not that easy, but how did it happen?
Yeah. Okay. So I started on TikTok in 2018, right after I had our son, our third kid. It was interesting because my friend Annie Grace, who wrote the book, This Naked Mind, she's incredible, but she's like, Rachel, do you TikTok? And I was like, I have no idea what you're saying. And she's like, it's this app. And she goes, actually, this app reminds me of your personality in a nutshell. She's like, this app could not be made more for you. And she's like, why are you not on this? And I was like, I don't know. So we were invited to this thing. This sounds so bougie, so sorry, but we were invited to this yacht trip to the Bahamas by Russell Brunson because we won this affiliate contest. So we're literally on a yacht, patchy Wi-Fi, and I record my very first TikTok. And it was literally within, I think, 2 weeks that I hit my first viral video in 2018, which was so early. This was on the time that Musical.ly shut down. So most of the big creators there were Musical.ly stars. And I just started kind of posting, and I was like, I'm seeing something here. Now, I'm going to be super honest with you. Most business owners made fun of me for probably 2 to 4 more years after that point. By the time they were like, okay, I'm ready to warm up to this, I was like, I'm at 500,000 followers and we've generated 42,000 leads here. So let's see, it was 2020 started to blow up because everyone was bored and we're all at home and it's the perfect time to binge social, right? And so I just started producing like crazy. To be super honest, I was probably posting 5 to 15 videos a day for several years. Well, the main reason is because I'm not very patient and I like to learn things fast. So I'm either going to learn and grow or learn and fail. And so I did a little bit of both, and I went mega viral several times. And then the big test was, can I prove like the concept of from social to sale? And truth be told, not many people had done a ton of that like publicly on any platform, but I did it on TikTok and then presented the results at a big conference. And suddenly everyone was like, teach me about TikTok. And even though it's not my main platform anymore, short form video is still super powerful.
Yeah. And I think at the same time that you were on TikTok, you weren't like ignoring any other platforms. You were growing on YouTube. You also had digital products and yes, courses.
Yeah. And clients. So one big thing, and this is always funny to me, is people always say like, you could build your brand so much faster if you didn't work with clients and you'd probably make more money. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're probably right. But there's something about working with clients and delivering services that I think you've experienced this too. It can be so rewarding. And so yeah, I love getting in there, getting hands-on with the team and being like, okay, are we actually doing or preaching and teaching, or is it just for us? That's not quite enough.
Right. Especially because your teaching is about social media. And so it is, as a marketer, and I know people listening to this may be owners, maybe marketers, but like as a marketer, we get annoyed when someone teaches what they don't do, because how can you teach something that you're not actually practicing or have never practiced? I mean, obviously, as your company grows, you might not be the one who's like directly in there, but if you're teaching how to grow on social media by growing on social media, like you're not really teaching.
I get qualms about that quite a bit. It's interesting because there are a lot of marketers that teach and they've never done for anyone but themselves. And it's easy for us to teach things like, oh, this is the law, but just wait until you're like what you do in the back end of businesses that are not bikinis and yachts and a lot more challenging. I still actually am really hands-on with our clients, which is why we charge 5 figures per month for each client, because there's something so exciting, the thrill of, can I find what clicks this time? I get terrified every single time I hop into a client's account. I'm like, is it going to work? And then once it does, and sometimes it doesn't, but once it does, I'm like, I still got it. Like, it makes me feel so.
I love that. Okay. So I want to get into the marketing ecosystem, and I'm going to actually start somewhere that I think is pretty easy. And if you're like, no, let's not start there, let's start here, that's fine. But so as you know, we work in this podcast is for people in the home service businesses. So they're not marketers, and many of your clients are service-based businesses. You just posted something about beauty, but I know in the past you've worked a lot with service businesses. So one thing you used to teach as far as content goes, because everybody's issue with like why they can't post on social media is like, I don't know what to post about. I don't know how to get the content, and I don't want to be in front of the camera. So I think I saw you at the traffic and conversion, I think it was maybe 2022, and you taught your 12 things. I can't remember what your viral framework. How is that where someone should start if they're like wanting to get posting? Is that what you would still recommend?
There are 2 different places that I like for people to start in general. So I'll just real fast teach like one framework that these 2 fall under. I really like the 4 V's, and the 4 V's allows for a variety, and it makes it kind of like a late night show. So the 4 V's are value, and that's what most businesses, I mean, if that's all you do, you can grow a successful business from social.
People are comfortable there.
Yeah, it is comfortable. And then if you want to speed things up, you add in a little bit of vulnerable content, whether it's hey, here was a massive fail we encountered, or hey, here's where we struggled as a team, or something like that. It's okay to share that. It makes you real, you know? The third is viral content. So like trending sounds, trends across the board. Obviously, not everyone feels comfortable doing these. I love doing them because it just spikes growth everywhere. And then my value-based videos get seen more, but it is also hit or miss, and you can feel a little cringy doing them. And I do every time. And then the fourth one is variety. So that's things outside of the actual business. Related topics. So that's kind of the overarching umbrella, but we're just going to focus on V for value because everyone can do it. So the viral framework, I need to rename that like ASAP, but this framework allows you to systematically cover all the bases across 1 year. So let's say you have one topic. I'm going to use hairstyling because I used to be a hairstylist. So if I'm a hairstylist, hair and hairstyling is my topic. Okay, simple. We need to create 12 subtopics within that. So we might have hair extensions, highlights, balayage, haircut, perms, wedding updos. You get the gist. You come up with those 12 subtopics. Then what you're going to do is go to either answerthepublic.com, which, by the way, did you know it's only $100 for lifetime now?
Oh, no. I haven't been using it because I use Google. It's so, I don't want to cut you off. If there's like someone teaching your framework right now, like literally word for word how you've taught it, I'll send it to you later. I swear. Oh my God. I see the videos yesterday, I was like, were you in the click? Like, I feel like literally teaching Rachel Pedersen. It is what it is. Okay, so you got 12 topics, then Answer the Public, which is an incredible tool. I always tell home service providers they can go to their website, they can think about frequently asked questions that their customers come up with, but keep going because this is also a really easy way to do it.
You can also go to Google, by the way, too, and like enter keywords. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see people also ask, and you basically like expand the 4 questions that show up and then contract them, right? And suddenly the list doubles, and you do that again and again until you like all of a bunch of questions. And either from Answer the Public by entering a few keywords, it compiles all of Google's top most asked questions, or the Google method, or thinking about your facts, you come up with 30 questions per each of the 12 subtopics. Then you basically have 360, and you can add a couple more if you want, 360 topics that cover absolutely everything. I plop them into a Google sheet and hit randomize range. So basically it shuffles them all, and suddenly you have content ideas for, well, the whole year, but most people don't receive them per day. So it's pretty fantastic.
Seriously. It's okay. So if you ever have the feeling of like, I don't know what to post, Rachel just gave you the simplest framework that you could probably do. I don't know, how long would that take? An hour or two to put together? Like, it might not take that long.
I have done one in 37 minutes before. I will say it's easier to do it for other people than it is for yourself because we overthink everything and like, how is this going to bring someone value? It takes us longer to do for ourselves always. So usually I give myself like 3 to 4 hours just because I know I'm going to be in my head a little bit. And then one thing to remember as you do this process is you might think like these seem like really basic questions, but I always remember there was a video I did that seemed so basic. It was how to film a TikTok, and I uploaded it as a YouTube video, just walking people through it, just using my computer camera and my mobile phone, just basic, not even the latest model. And Dean Gross CMO found it, loved it, and they ended up hiring me from that simple basic video.
I love that so much. That totally brings me into the next thing that I want to talk about is how do you go from organic social to sales? Like, how can you, is there a way to like truly measure it? How can you be really intentional about it, especially with a service-based local business?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways. The one big thing I will share is that when we talk about the concept of a marketing ecosystem, it means you have to get people from the coldest, most outer layers of the ecosystem inwards. So it's kind of like a reverse funnel. But if social media is the coldest touch point, we want to get people onto the email list or onto our text message list. And so I always think, how can I get them to that faster? So can I offer lead magnets of the link in my bio? Can I set up ManyChat to have bots automating the process of collecting emails and getting people into that ecosystem? Link in bio is a pretty big one. ManyChat's a pretty big one. Once in a great while, you'll get a conversion directly from social. But the truth of the matter is attribution is one of the hardest games out there. So you might think that your organic social isn't doing anything for you, and then you stop doing it, and then you kick yourself for the next year to come, because it's not until we stop doing something that we realize how important it was.
Yeah. Even just recently, I've been thinking about the branded searches and how like that could be one way to look at it. And obviously, like there are other things that play into your branded search, but your social is going to play a big part of that as well. So talk a little bit about what a marketing ecosystem is, because I think that that's a hard term for some people. And I know you just explained it like a funnel, like for a main company, like what could be their marketing.
Okay. So as every single company has a marketing ecosystem, whether you know it or not, it's just developed or not. So basically over here, we have like our offerings, right? And most of the time we think like, how in the world are we going to get people there? But truth be told, not everybody who's cold is ready to buy. A lot of people sit back, they watch interactions, especially I feel like lately people are really vetting like their vendors and service providers and even like the stores they want to shop at through social. So we got to have the button there somehow, right? So we're going to go ahead and just map this out a little bit. So over here, this is what some people would call like top of funnel. These are for the most part colder audiences where people are just watching and deciding if they want to engage and deciding if down the road you could be someone they could trust enough to allow in their home or give them an appointment, right? So this is, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, any social platform. And our big goal is to get people from here to here. This is bottom of the funnel, hottest audiences or people who are just ready to buy no matter what, but you want to attract them here first so you can build rapport, know, like, and trust, and ultimately have a business that isn't relying on hoping and praying. So you want to get people the link in your bio or your lead magnets or even your case studies, white papers, all of the above, free consultation. And then ultimately you want to nurture them at a rate of about, depending on the business, anywhere from once a week to once a month. It just depends on your industry. And your emails ultimately nurture them to the point of wanting to purchase. This is a very simplified marketing ecosystem for location-based businesses.
Yeah. Like I think a lot about events because even like for you and I, events are important as far as visibility, but even for local businesses, community events are really important as far as visibility. And then I feel like events are even like above social because your social keeps them warm once you meet somebody at an event. And so then they get to know even more. For low ticket offers for home service providers, I know there's a couple that a lot of them lean on, which still does require a lot of intention from them because they're usually still wanting them to be in the home, right? So it might be like $49 HVAC tune-up or free diagnostic or free second opinion. That's still, even though that's a low ticket offer, I feel like that's still a pretty big conversion. I wonder what would be in between those. So we definitely have some clients that rely a lot on email. I think that they're not as comfortable with like nurturing an email list the same way that an online business would be. What are your thoughts about that?
The biggest thing that I would share is if you're sharing value and tips that aren't just related to your industry, people are going to say, I want to open these emails. For example, we have a lot of pest companies that like to kind of compete in this neighborhood. So they're always knocking at our door and coming and saying hi. And like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, is this a scam? I don't know if this is I always get so nervous. So that's kind of always good to keep in mind. But if I was added to their email list and they're like, here are the 10 things you need to do in March, May, January, whatever, to prepare your home for, and then the next season, I'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. Or now is the perfect time to set out like mouse traps or something like that, I'd be like, that's fantastic. So if I got value from the emails and it provided value even in adjacent spaces too, I'd be like, wow, legit company. Hey, could you guys send someone to my house? I actually, a new nest of baby mice. It's super fun. So like that helps a lot, but just seeing someone's social probably isn't enough most of the time for most buyers. And also just having someone stop by your door isn't necessarily enough. So add lots of value and think about how can you make their lives more informed, educated, and supported around the area that you offer services in.
Yeah. One thing that we do is we send local events in the email so that at least like, even if they're like, I don't need anything to do with plumbing this week, we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the community. So hopefully the emails are still there open at some point.
I love that. I know a lot of people who love those kind of like roundups because they like local events,
Right. Yeah. Staying in the community. So you actually, in as much as Rachel is a digital marketer, Rachel teaches small business owners how to do social media on their own. So what are some of the things in the Social Click, which by the way, like I've been a member of the Social Click for a few years now and definitely recommend it. That's how I gotten to learn so much from Rachel. But what are some of the things that you see like over and over again that these business owners are running into that they're struggling with, like the same questions that you're answering all the time?
Oh, number one is it's all the Rachel, I love this, but. So Rachel, I love this, but I don't have a cute space to record. Rachel, I love this, but I don't have a fancy camera. Rachel, I love this, but I feel like my double chin shows, my acne shows, etc. And it's funny that we're recording this today because I'm having like an allergic reaction in my eyes. So my eyes just are like, they feel super heavy. I took like Claritin at the beginning of this and I'm like, I love this, Rachel, but there comes a point where you just have to be like, I just have to do it. The skin's never going to be perfect. The hair is never going to look amazing. You might have an allergic reaction before a podcast episode. Fantastic. And you still at some point have to say, but what is the alternate? Am I willing to pay a ton for ads? Am I willing to hire agencies to do all of this for me? And are they still going to need some video to make this work? Or am I going to sit in this uncomfortable space of I'm willing to show up because I want the end result? That's a big one. The second big one that I hear we kind of addressed, and that's I don't know what to post about, but we already solved that. So let's move on. The third big one is people get really nervous about what others are going to say. And that can be it can be intimidating. And truth be told, I have never met someone who is like a troll or a keyboard warrior just wanting to fight people who has ever achieved anything that I wanted. So I'm like, okay, I can just kind of look at, their profile and realize it's a picture of their animal, not them, and they don't have any pictures. Right. So I always just say, I look at the paths that the people who have achieved what I want have, and then I follow that. And I'm like, I'm going to trust them and their path more than this person with, C3PO as their profile picture. So,
yeah. So I think you're the one that told us that Dan Kennedy said, if you're not pissing people off, then you're not reaching enough people. And so anytime that my clients have a video that goes viral and like people aren't always being nice, I'm like, it's fine. Like if you're not pissing people off, then we're not doing a great job.
If you haven't pissed off one person by noon, that's his criteria. And I really agree with this. And one more thing I'll share too is if a video does go viral, you need to like delete the app for a little bit until it's done going viral. So the more videos take off, the more you reach new audiences, including some troll audiences. And I've gone viral many, many times per year since 2016. And I'm just going to tell you, when things are taking off, don't check the comments. It's not worth it at all.
Yeah. I just saw Alex Hormozy talking about like the one thing he didn't expect with the level that he's at right now is all that haters. Because like, you're just a normal person. And then all these people who think they know you and have some sort of opinion on you feel the need to tell you. And it's like, what are you going to do to you? Like,
I know. I remember. So I voxed him in, was it 2018, I think? Because we used to just vox all the time. I voxed him and I was like, Alex, like this person is just being this jerk to me. And he's like, Rachel, what are you doing? You're a rock star and everyone knows that. Why are you letting their opinion, stop you from wanting to show up? And I was like, that is such a good point. I'm a rock star now.
I hate you. It's so hard. And also the importance of surrounding yourself with other people who have the same goals and visions as you do, especially as you continue to grow and have visibility. And that's important for every business owner. That's what the social click is for so many people. And that was for me too. It's like this place with other people who are building and doing and trying and like, where you can share things that are working and share when you feel pretty down about how things are going, and other people can really like relate to, because you need that when you're a business owner.
Oh my gosh. I swear, like my friends who also have, platforms where their stuff goes viral, like I'll message them and be like, oh, look at what this person said. They're like, oh my gosh, look at what this person said to me the other day. And then we end up laughing about it because we're like, oh, this is such a universal experience. I mean, you can wish for virality and a huge audience, but then once it happens, you're like, oh, this also comes with it. Okay, I should probably build a thick skin in this process,
Yeah. Or someone to help you weed through it. Like, and that's as social media managers for companies, that is one of our jobs, is like weed through the trolls, because there's a lot of times, unless there's some truth behind it and we need the feedback, and that's okay too. But most of the time it's just someone being ugly.
Yeah. I have like team members. I'm a huge fan of hiring people for things that aren't your strength. And I have team members, for example, who check my email. I usually get probably 1 to 10 hate emails in response to every email I send out, which is super.
You're like, unsubscribe. Like, that's all you have to.
Yeah, you don't need to send that. Thank you. I did have one email that was really controversial and I got a couple hundred hate emails and I was like, well, I won't do that again. So she filters through everything and then only brings forward like the legit. This needs, this needs tweaking, or hey, maybe don't talk about that topic again. That was really bad. So,
all right. And that's important too. So one other thing I want to point out, and there's a lot that I've learned from working beside beside you. I won't say, I don't know what that is, having you as a mentor. One of the things, I'm doing a challenge in a Facebook group right now, and I was really drilling home to them yesterday, the idea that like, if you give yourself an hour to do this homework, it'll take you an hour. But if you give yourself 10 minutes, you can do it in 10 minutes. And that's something that I definitely have learned from you. And I think that in order to find success on social media and business, you have to be willing to put things out there and try it and just not overthink it and fail at it and then try it again.
Yes, I completely agree with this. And part of the reason I think that I produce a lot of content, I haven't even been at my like high level of production for, like 3 years until the last couple of weeks. And I do more than most people would expect in like a week, in a day.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that is because I move fast. So I want to be packed the entire time that I have dedicated to content creation versus sitting there and over researching it and over perfecting the concept and overthinking and re-editing and re-recording. So I'm like, I don't have time for that. I have to get the videos recorded. I have to get the email out. We need to move, people. Let's go. So
yeah,
that helps.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other thing is, and I know you already said it, but I do want to bring up a specific story. So being in the social cook with Rachel is really cool because she'll just like, I feel like you just teach whatever's on your mind. Maybe you have a plan behind it, but sometimes I think you get inspired by your day and then bring up whatever comes up, which makes us really lucky because we get to learn all different types of things. And Rachel will just like go in her Google Drive and be like, look at all this stuff. I haven't been there in a few weeks, but that's how it was when I was there really consistently. But you'll also challenge us to do things. And I think that that's a really important part of being in any sort of mentorship is having somebody who challenges you and helps hold you accountable. And then having other people a part of the group who can also help hold you accountable. But one of the things that Rachel had us do was create YouTube videos. Feel like that's what it was. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, I'm going to create some longer form videos. And like, they were not that long. They were maybe like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, like teaching something. But my question is like, I work out of my room. I'm in my room right now. This is like my space. I don't have a great recording space. I don't have good lighting. Yesterday, I was recording my podcast and my guest had like the best lighting. I'm like, please send me the link to that thing because I need it because I can never get my lighting right. But the whole point is like, if you wait until you have all the stuff, like you won't even know what you need. And I would be 25 episodes less. Like I wouldn't have had the podcast out yet. And so like, I even asked you that question then. And you were like, go back to my old videos. I'm like, I was recording in my kitchen.
I was going to say that. So you can actually go on my YouTube channel and go to my oldest videos. And how many years old are they? I think they're like 11 years old, I want to say. And you can see I'm like sitting in front of like a dirty wall. It's like old paint, you can tell. And I've got like, an IKEA painting above me. And like, you could just tell there was no budget. There was nowhere cute in the place that we started. Nowhere cute. We didn't have a single cute wall. So I was like just trying to find like a clean wall.
Right.
Tiny townhouse cramped in with extra like roommates and family members and stuff. And the biggest thing I've learned is that you can impact people no matter what your background is, both in life and in your videos. So for example, I mean, if I wanted to record a messy video in front of our kids' playroom, it would still probably be able to impact people. But truth be told, a blank wall works.
Yeah.
When in doubt, use natural light. I mean, your lighting I know you said it wasn't exactly what you want it to be, but like that still looks good because there's a dramatic effect in like you know what I mean? In a cinematic way. Right now, all of my lighting is just from the windows on either side of me. And for the most part, it does make me look a little pale, but I'm like, whatever, I can throw on some extra bronzer or whatever. So I'm a big believer of start where you're at. And if you go back to my early like TikTok days, you'll see like I have a pretty big forehead and I would like slick my hair back and it was greasy and not put together and my outfits were sloppy. I was wearing like workout clothes to everything. And you know what? It was fine. It still worked. So truth be told, start where you are with what you have. You can always improve it later.
And I love that you're saying you can make an impact because that's really what visibility in social media and being a business owner is about, is making an impact, not about how cool you are.
There are no extra like points in revenue, profit, impact for being cooler or prettier or having the best background.
Right.
In general, I love my background, but it took me years to get it exactly how I wanted it. 10 plus years to be specific.
Yeah. And one day I'll have my background. It's fine. Until then, I'll just keep going. It doesn't matter. It hasn't mattered yet. It has not mattered. Okay. So a couple things. So before we end the podcast. You're on the Key to Growth podcast. So the question is, what is the key to growth? It could be in marketing or just in general.
The key to growth is small, consistent action steps every day. Sounds so basic, and it is. And it really, truly works. I always remind myself, you know how we have days where like we don't feel like going on a walk or whatever, and you're like cranky about it the whole time. Those steps still count. The same thing is true in business. Even if you felt cranky the whole time you were recording that video, guess what? It still count. Crappy action steps count too.
For sure. I love that. I am so grateful for you being on here today. The amount of value that you packed into this 34 minutes is like, if someone was taking notes, you just learned a huge, huge part of some of the basic steps that Rachel teaches, but done consistently and over time are really going to make a huge impact for you.
Huge impact.
So tell everyone where they can find you. I know you have your book behind you, which probably if people don't know you, they might not know, but Rachel has wrote a really great book. Where can they find that?
You can find that on Barnes & Noble's website, as well as Amazon. There's the hardcover, which is a controversial cover, the soft cover, which is kind of like pretty and has like a rainbow kind of font thing that's so cute.
Change the cover?
They made me for the paperback. So I didn't have a say on this one, but I still like it. I still got to.
I recommend the hardcover. No, the book is great no matter what, but I do love the controversy behind the hardcover.
Me too. There's also an Audible one, and I narrate that myself. And so I add little extra stories in and stuff, which is kind of fun. And everything else you can find on my website at rachelpedersen.com, all E's and a D in my last name.
And then on social?
On social, I'm pretty much at the Mrs. Pedersen on all platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. Really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.